Hey everyone, and welcome back. And I am so thrilled to welcome back Leslie Nicole. How are you, Leslie?
Hey everyone, I'm doing great today.
This should be a really fun session. We're getting into mandalas, right? Which are so beautiful, I think.
I'm so excited to share this with you because I love doing this. It's so much fun. And I hope that you guys will find it to be fun too.
Without further ado, Leslie, over to you. I can't wait to see this design.
All right, thanks, Tom. All right, so today I'm going to be showing you, as we said, doing motifs and mandalas from floral photographs. And this is one of my favorite things to do. And let's talk a little bit first about what exactly we'll be doing today. I'll show you a quick overview. I'm going to be taking floral photographs. Like I said, here's a photograph of geraniums that I took. And what I do is I like to isolate it from the background. I find it gives me more options and a cleaner look than just using it flat. So I'm just going to give you a quick peek first, and then we're going to get into a demonstration. So the technique I'm using now is we're going to be using axial symmetry. It means axial symmetry means that it's a mirror version of the image. So if you were to fold it in half, they would both beat up and be exact. And that's different from like radial symmetry, which is more like this, where you're going around an axis that's not necessarily mirrored. Like a starfish is radial symmetry, whereas axial symmetry is mirrored symmetry.
Okay, that's already looking beautiful, I have to say.
Okay. So this is radial symmetry, and that's fun to do too, but today I'm going to be just doing axial symmetry, which is more like this. So like if you did a vertical axis or a horizontal axis or even a diagonal axis and folded it, it'd be exactly the same. So that's what we're going to be working on today. And so I start with a flower, a plant. I'll show you more examples as we go along. And then I like to cut it out, like I said, because that gives me more options. And then I flip it to the side once horizontally. And then I flip it again vertically. Let me show this, and it does matter. What's really fun, as you'll see as I go along, is that it does matter like how much space is in between these, what the angle is, where you crop the stem, and that's all part of the fun, is exploring those little things. So once we have it flipped horizontally and vertically, then we merge all of that and rotate it 90 degrees. And then we do another copy and we rotate that 45 degrees. And you just keep going and playing with blend modes, playing with diagonals, but basically you keep having it. You keep copying what you've done and then having the rotation. So the first one will be 90 degrees, the second will be 45 degrees, the third one 22.5, and so on. And you'll see that more as we go along.
Yeah, beautiful again.
Yes, you just keep going until it gets more and more complex, and then you can play with blend modes to the point where you almost can't even see that it's flowers anymore.
Really cool. It's like a wreath.
Yeah. I just wanted to give you a real quick idea of where we're going before we launch into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get into it now. So I'm going to start here with a photograph. Now, my straight out of camera photographs are usually better than this, but I wanted to show this to show you just how important processing is. So this was my straight out of camera raw image. And this is my edits in Lightroom. So I fixed the white balance, and I brought up the whites and gave it more contrast. And then I took it into Photoshop. I cut out the background and used a clarity filter on it. I like to use Topaz Labs clarity filter. And once I had it cut out, I did a little bit of burning and dodging as well on the stem and leaf, because if you look at the previous one, it's kind of a little blown out on that right part of the stem. I'm not going to get a lot into the processing of the flowers right now because I want to do the mandala part of this at the point, but so I'm not going to really show a lot of the processing at this point. Okay, it's the same one. And then a lot of times I like to add a filter because it really takes another step towards being a graphic. On this one, I used Photoshop's filter, the artistic cutout filter. One little tip about those, the Photoshop filter galleries, is that they have to be in 8-bit. So a lot of times if you're photographing with your camera, it's going to be in 16-bit. So if you're wondering, hey, where's the filter gallery? Check to make sure your bit depth is 8-bit. And that'd be mode bit depth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Simplify, Topaz Lab Simplify. And this is Exposure's Snap Art. Exposure used to be Alien Skin. You might know it by that name.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right, so first I'm going to open up my flower, and I'm going to just show you Snap Art real quick, just to show you how fun that is. So I'm going to open this up. I think I'm going to edit a copy. And you can see I have, I don't know if you can see, I have this masked here. I'll turn off the mask for a minute. You don't really see a big difference, but I'm going to go ahead and apply the mask. I have this backed up. I'm going to apply the mask. And let's go Filter, Exposure Software, Snap Art. Okay, this goes to my default of what I had before. The filter I like best in the Snap Art is a stylized filter. And I usually take the detailed one and I tweak it a little bit to, this would be the normal, the detailed filter. It has black lines and it has a background and it has some texture to it. But I like changing the lines to be more of a cream color, and I do my settings so that it retains transparency and there's no texture added. And then I save that preset by doing that plus sign on the upper left-hand side. So I have a preset here. I created detailed cream lines. And you can make adjustments to how many lines there are. But I want to take a few of these out maybe. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And apply that. And that'll show up in just a few seconds. There we go. All right. So to start making my mandala, I'm going to increase my canvas size. And it doesn't really matter the exact size. And I'll show you at the end why. You just want to make it big enough. I think for this demo purposes, I'm just going to make it, by the way, I just did, let me do this, tell you what the shortcut was. I did Command Option C, and that would be Control Alt C on the PC to bring up my canvas size. And I'm just going to make this square. So let's do 3765 to match the width, height rather. There. Now, if I were to use my full-size floral photograph to make my mandala, the mandala would get really big because I'd have to keep expanding my canvas. So I usually reduce the size. I can always reproduce it pretty easily if I ever want to make it something really big. But it just gets to be kind of unwieldy to have huge files all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flower layer. On the first one, I'm going to make it a smart object so that I have it saved as a smart object. So I'm going to Command click in the layer to the right of the picture and do Command convert to smart object. On PC, that would be right clicking in the layer. And I like to just save that first one like that. So I'm going to do Command T or Control T on the PC to resize. I'm going to do it roughly half the size of my canvas. That's maybe a little bit smaller. And the great thing about smart objects is I can resize that and it doesn't affect the quality. All right, now I'm going to duplicate that by doing Command or Control J. And now I'm going to do Command or Control T, and I'm going to grab the middle handle. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit so you can see. I'm going to grab that middle handle on here. Come on, slow down. I don't know if you can see, but that middle handle they have here. I'm going to grab that.
Yep.
Go back down here, and I'm going to pull it down to the bottom one till it snaps, the bottom middle one. And then I'm going to control click inside and do flip vertical. On PC, that would be, I guess, right clicking inside. Now I'm going to select both layers, both those flower layers. I'm going to duplicate that, so Command or Control J, and I'm going to merge them because I don't want every single layer to be solo. I can always go back to my first layer if I make a mistake or want to do something over again. So I'm going to merge those by doing Command or Control E. And now I'm going to do Command or Control T again, grab that center handle, drag it over till it snaps to the one on the right, the middle right. Control or Command, I guess if it's right click on the PC, right? Control or right click inside and do flip horizontal. Now it does matter in the mandala, the spacing in between these images. I'm going to center that a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my top layer and I'm going to hold down Shift so that it doesn't move vertically, and I'm just going to move it a little bit horizontally. And I think that's about right. Okay.
I think it's fantastic so far, Leslie. I love the arty kind of painterly look that you've achieved and how you're starting to build up this composition. And it's been very clear from my perspective.
Great. Okay, so now I'm going to select all my flower layers again. Hold down the Shift key and I selected all the layers. Command or Control J again. And Command or Control E again to merge that layer, that top layer. And I'm not using, I can't use the Command Option Shift E to merge all on this, just in case anyone's wondering, because I have a background and I don't want the background to be copied. Okay, so now that I have that layer, I'm going to Command or Control T again to transform, and I'm going to Control or right click inside and do rotate 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, so this is our base. This would be called, it's not just a four-way motif, but it is a four-way motif. This could now be made into a repeat pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change, I actually chose this image for a reason. You see this where the flowers kind of over the flower and one, this flower part here, this petal, I guess it's a bud really, is over the flower there. I don't want it to be over there. So sometimes, it's not often, but sometimes you're going to need to do a little bit of work with a layer mask. So on that top layer, I'm going to put a layer mask. I'm going to zoom all the way in here, get my brush. So B on the keyboard. I'm going to Control click my screen. That would be right clicking on the PC. I've got a hard brown brush. That's good. Pretty small. That's good. My foreground is set to black and 0 opacity. And I'm going to get rid of where that's covering up my flower because I don't want that. It's going to get in my way as I go along later on. I want it tucked behind the flower. I have to do that on all the flowers. I could have taken that bud off and it wouldn't have been in my way, but I kind of like how it joins the background there.
Yeah, I think it's nice as long as it's not kind of pervasively in the foreground like that.
Yeah. So I'm just going to, and I chose this image specifically because I wanted to show you that you might occasionally do this. Most of the time you don't. All right. I'm going to save that. Now I'll show you why I didn't really bother doing a specific size canvas. Because now if I turn off my canvas and I go to Image, Trim, and I do Transparent Pixels, top, bottom, left, right, and turn my background on again. And now it's sized exactly as I want. Now at this point, I've got basically a motif that I could use. And I'm going to do that right now. We can either keep going to do a mandala, or we can make this into a motif. And I'm going to show you this part first since we're here. I'm going to duplicate this image. I'm going to merge all the flowers. So I'm selected all of them, holding down the Shift key, Command or Control E to merge the flowers. And I'm going to resize this because to make a pattern, right now my document is like 3,300, and it's just way too big to make a pattern tile. So I'm going to resize this to maybe 1,000 pixels. And I'm going to get rid of my background. And now I'm going to go to Edit, Define Pattern. And I usually leave some of the file name there, but I also like to put down what the pixel dimension was that I used. So this was 1,000 pixel motif. And I like to bring that back into my document. I kind of like to just have it there that I turn off, just so that if I come back to this sometime in the future, it's already made. I know I can find it. Okay, so for now, I'm going to turn off, I'm going to group and turn off my large size motif. I'm going to select the background, and then I'm going to go over here to the layer styles. Excuse me, the layer, help me out here, Tom. I'm blanking out on the name of this.
The blending modes, do you mean, or?
No, I do this all the time, and I'm suddenly blanking out on the layer effects. There we go. I'm going to check. We're going to select pattern and go down here to select our latest tile. And then I can scale it using scale. Let's try maybe 50. So this is a really cool way to make a pattern. Let's try 60. We made a pattern, a repeat pattern with our motif. All right. Turn off the pattern, come back to our, that's the backup motif. Let's get the full size motif. Actually, I should have made myself a little more canvas to play with, because when I start rotating things, I may need more room. So I'm going to do relative. I brought up my canvas size, by the way. That was Command Option C, or it'd be Control Alt C. And I've selected relative, and I'm going to add an extra 100 pixels to my height and width. That's maybe not enough. I'm going to do that again. Let's do relative 200 and 200. Okay. Okay, I have my grouped motif, and I'm going to duplicate that again. So Command or Control J, and I'm going to merge that group because I really don't need it to be grouped. Command or Control E, Command or Control T to transform. And now I'm going to go up here to my top toolbar, and there's kind of an angle thing here, and I'm going to do 45 degrees and hit accept. So we're on our way to doing a mandala. I'm going to select everything again. Command or Control J to copy it. Command or Control E to merge that layer. Command or Control T. And we're going to go back here and do 22.5. That's half of 45. And hit select. And we can just keep going. Now, I have this on normal because I isolated the background on that flower, I can keep doing my mandala and everything shows up. You can do this if you had a flat image, but you'd have to use blend modes. You'd be more restricted in your blend modes then. Like here, I use darker color. So you can get different effects by using different blend modes. Here's darker color. Lighter color can be, this one doesn't work, but sometimes with certain ones, lighter color can be really cool. Darker color is the one I use the most. I find multiplied to go too dark.
But as always, I think it's about playing, right? Some trial and error, see what looks good.
That's what's so fun. This whole process is about playing. You know, what happens if I put, you know, if I do another layer and another rotation? What happens if I change the blend mode? What happens if I start all over again and change the angle of the plant? And you get totally different results.
How did you get into this, Leslie? Was it just playing around? You had the idea, or were you inspired?
I was doing cutouts of my flowers because I was doing designs with them. I was photographing florals. I mean, I was doing this all the time, photographing flowers and doing designs with them. And then one day I thought, you know, in case you haven't noticed, you know, radial symmetry and axial symmetry is really popular in design. Once you're aware of it, you start seeing it everywhere. In patterns and design and architecture. So I thought, I was working on a totally different kind of image. And I thought, oh, it'd be fun to do some, you know, try out doing some mirroring effect. And I got really addictive. And then I thought, hey, what happens if I try one of my florals like this? I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And I've just been obsessed with this. I mean, whenever I get a free minute and I think, oh, I want to do something kind of creative, I'll do an axial symmetry design because it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it looks really fun. And I would imagine the possibilities are pretty endless.
Oh, they are.
There's so many different flowers and patterns. Yeah.
Hopefully I'll have time to show you guys a bunch of examples. And I wanted to show you can also do the same method with all kinds of things. You can use textures. You can use vintage ornaments. You can use all kinds of things. And it works really cool. The method's a wee bit different for using textures or for photographs that you don't cut out. And I wanted to show you guys that too, but I'm not sure we'll get to it. We'll see. That might have to be a different session.
Amazing.
Okay, let's see. What else did I want to show you guys on this? Let me come back to Lightroom and see what else I have to show you on that. So if you keep going on these, it just, you know, it gets more and more into mandala. I think I've pretty much shown you up to there. That's what happened on this one. I'll show you when I didn't mask out that one bud. You know, we had this one bud kind of poking out in a couple places. That's why I had to mask that out on that one. So on this same flower, I also went back and did it. Let me get back to this. So here it is. I have the top part of this hollyhock and the little the bloom, or the bud rather, of that. Well, I guess it is kind of a bloom, halfway between a bloom and a bud. But then I also went back and cut out the top part and the bloom and went from there and created this one without that. And then when I kept going, changing blend modes, then you don't even know this is a flower anymore. I mean, would you really know that was a flower if I just showed you this to you?
I keep imagining different uses, and one second I'm thinking this feels like something out of Tudor times. It's like a family crest. The next second I'm like, oh, this is like psychedelic album art for a band or something.
Oh, that's fun. I think they're great for like pillow designs. You could put a texture behind here and do a neat pillow.
That'd be good. Actually, I've just invested in some, don't know if you can see mini me in the corner here. I've got some cushions for my office. I
Oh, I'll
should
have
have
to
come
look
talk
at
to
it.
you before I decorated.
I'm not looking at the screen right now, but I'll definitely look at that when I get back on. So I took this motif here, this mandala, and I worked it into a design. Tom, this one actually uses all the elements, elements and textures from the Complete Inspirational collection. I thought, well, what would happen if I just kind of had this mandala, but kind of
Beautiful.
had it kind of a grungy design, kind of a boho design.
Yeah, so your mandala becomes like a graphical element. You can
And
reuse against.
Like, get it even grungier if you. Actually, this was I was playing around with different texture backgrounds. Those are also textures from the Complete Inspirational.
Amazing. Yeah, if anyone has not seen that pack, it is incredible. Leslie's Textures and Elements pack. It's a lot of fun to work with.
Yeah, I think this one from the Bliss collection that's in there, the yellow one would be kind of neat too. So then this could be like a funky boho canvas, an industrial design loft, or it could be kind of a fun shopping bag.
That looks so good. Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, let's see. Okay, now I'm going to open up another design. This was a scan. I just scanned this flower, and you can scan flowers, plants, if they don't have too much dimension to them. This almost becomes this is like a pressed flower. It is a pressed flower, basically. And the same thing, I've already cut this out from the background, so the background is isolated. And here again, I've flipped this horizontal and then vertical. And it matters, your mandala would be different. Here I have the flowers, let's zoom in, facing in. But if I do it where the flowers are facing out, I'm going to get a different look.
It's so clean and elegant. It's a really nice mix. You've got those clean lines and backgrounds, but you've got the organic, natural element of the flowers. It just creates a really kind of charming, but orderly outcome. I love it.
For me, I mean, it's just like a magic trick. I just love doing this because you just don't know what's it going to look like? What's it going to look like when I do this one? I just get totally fascinated by it. So that's with the flowers in. That's with the flowers out.
I feel like this could extend through an entire brand project. You know what I mean? Because there are different options. So if this was the, a core pillar of a brand aesthetic, you could have loads of variants of this across all kinds of branded designs for a company.
That's a fun idea. I'm always looking for new ideas for this application. Now this would be, this is where I did a quick pattern from the motif. And I chose this one because I'm going to show you something different coming up here. This one I put the flowers in together and created this. And I'm going to go back to this one and we're going to pick up from here because I want to show you something that I do sometimes from here.
Amazing.
Okay, I'm going to open this up and let me go ahead and open up a copy of that. Let me just close this out. I don't need to save these. I'll go ahead and save that one. Okay, the reason I chose this one to show is that sometimes I will actually overlap the plants to get a different look. So here we are. Right now, I've basically just done the flowers flipped horizontal and then flipped vertical again. And I'm going to select all the flower layers again and do Command or Control J to copy them. Command or Control E to merge that layer. Those layers, rather. And now when I do Command or Control T to transform and do my rotate 90 degree clockwise, and by the way, it doesn't really matter if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. Either one works. Oh, I know what I want to show you. It's when you make the motif. So I'm going to select all the flower layers again, and Command or Control J to copy and merge them because I want to merge that on its own. So I'm going to resize it. I'm going to group the other flower layers and turn them off. So this is a merged copy of all my flower layers. And I'm going to resize this smaller because I'm going to show you what I do when I make a motif.
As you're thinking of ideas for how to use these designs, can I say one word that might trigger your imagination?
Yeah.
Animation.
Ooh, I never thought of that.
Yeah,
cool
I
idea.
think these could look so incredible animated.
Oh, that's a really cool idea. Okay.
There you go. Watch the space, people.
Okay, I'm going to make that about that size, and then I'm going to duplicate that again because I'm going to make a motif out of this, but I'm going to make a motif that's been changed. Okay, I've duplicated that. I'm going to do Command or Control T, grab that center handle, bring it over to the right middle handle until it snaps. Command or Control into the image, flip horizontal. But instead of leaving it like that, this time I'm going to pull it in. I'm holding down the Shift key so that it doesn't move vertically. I'm going to pull it all the way in until these leaves touch. Get over here. And I'm going to duplicate those two layers again, merge them, transform again, grabbing that middle handle, bring it down to the lower middle handle until it snaps. Command or Control T to transform and flip vertical. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to bring this up until the leaves snap more. And that way it gets a little more tricky to make my motif. I'm not going to do it now, but basically what I would have to do now to make my motif is I would have to find that, I'm going to bring my guides in. I would find the places where it intersects here. I'd be more careful about it though. And then I would crop it. And I already have that done in Lightroom, so let me bring that up here. So that was my cropped motif. And now I can use this to make a motif. And this is the pattern.
Wow, look at that. That's so pretty.
Whereas if I didn't bring it in like that, the motif I would get would be very spread apart, which is pretty too. It's just a different look. But I just wanted to show you that sometimes I will smush plants together.
That's the professional term, everyone.
That's the professional Photoshop term. You heard it here first.
It's a really unique session though, Leslie. I love it. I haven't seen anything quite like this.
Well, you know, I've actually never, I don't think I've ever shared this at all. And I've never done a post on it or anything. And it's something I'm obsessed with. I do all the time. I have so much fun with this. I just totally geek out on this, I'll tell you.
Well, we can't wait to see what the design cutters create. So definitely tag us up. Which Instagram do you prefer people to tag up, actually, Leslie?
I'm using the French Kiss Textures more now.
Okay, so at French Kiss Textures and at Design Cuts, tag us up and use the hashtags as well. But hashtag Design Cuts is certainly one of them. But yeah, we can't wait to see what you create. I think there's going to be a lot of community work being shared around this.
I wanted to give you like a quick tour of what I do, but then I wanted to also give you some examples to kind of fuel your imagination. So on this same one, if we'd kept going, there's your, I wanted to mention too, label your layers because you'll forget later on. And also, write notes to yourself in Photoshop. Use the note tool and, tell yourself, I did this, I did that, because you're going to forget. 5 months later when you open this up, wait, what rotation was this on? I mean, this one's pretty obvious that it's the 4-way. But, if you get into the mandala, you're going, wait a minute, how many times did I rotate this? So change the text on your layers to let yourself know what rotation you used. Let me actually go forward here a little bit more. So eventually, this would turn into this, and then this, if you just kept going. Okay, let's see. The next one I wanted to show you was for, let's see. I wanted to show you this real quick because, okay, I took this magnolia bud and then I flipped it horizontally and vertically, and then it's a 90-degree angle. Can you guys see this okay? Do I need to zoom in more for you here?
No, that looks really clear, actually.
Okay. And then this one has, I use a very slight simplify filter, a Topaz Lab simplify filter. And this one I use the Snap Art filter. And this one I flipped it the opposite way. I put the flowers opposite what the other one was and did it. And I wanted to show you this one because this one is at 45 degrees. And this one is at 22.5 degrees. And I want to open this one up to show you something. So right now, my blend mode is darker color, but look what happens if I did lighter color. Actually, it's not the best one. Let's see. Each time you change, oh, I know it's the next rotation that's better. Let me go back to the other one. This one, you'll really see the difference. I'm going to open this up in Photoshop. This one is the 11.25 rotation. Now, this is on darker color. If I change this to lighter color, see what a different look you get?
Oh, wow.
Darker color, lighter color. You can even get, overlay's a little too strong, I think, but you could do multiply too, but I don't usually use multiply. I usually use darker color or lighter color. And sometimes you can like change the blend mode to lighter color and then do your rotation and then do darker color again. You can just keep flipping back and forth and get some really interesting things happening. That's linear dodge, screen. So
even that, it's like suddenly the petals look watercolor in those really pink areas.
See, where was that?
Some of the lights blend modes. Yeah, don't they? It looks like someone's just painted them.
You can even, if you get to here and you think, well, it looks a little bit light, add a levels adjustment and make, up the contrast. So I just want you to encourage you to really play with blend modes. Okay, I wanted to show you this one. This is, I took a snapshot of this Daphne odora, and then I cut it out. And I used Topaz Lab Simplify on this to make it more posturized and flipped it horizontally and vertically. That's with my 90-degree rotation. And I made a pattern from that motif.
Wow, that looks stunning. I want that in my bathroom, Leslie.
Well, hold on. But I thought it looked a little bit bare in some parts. So then I took the little tip, the bud of that same flower, and made that into a motif and put that in the middle. Amazing.
Leslie, you're one of the most creative people I know. I have to say.
So there's your bathroom.
There you go. great minds.
Yeah.
I love how you got it in the mirror as well.
Now, this is just so cool because, look at this like boring little twig here. Well, that's not really boring, but it's just some buds off of a tree scanned, and look at the amazing shapes you can get.
Wow.
You just start playing around, you get all these really cool shapes from a stick.
That bottom left one.
And it kind of makes you start becoming aware of, where these design elements came from. Where were these born,
I feel like it just exposes the beauty of nature.
It really does. And, I haven't really studied a lot of this today, but today I was looking at something about, sacred geometry, the ideas of that, how these patterns occur in nature and in our bodies. And it really is really cool.
Mm.
So I totally geek out on this.
So do I now. They're actually some of my favorites. And I saw that branch and I was like, it's not as pretty as the flowers, but these are stunning.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you see like that could be a background pattern for something else? It could be like you could do it where it kind of melds into the background of a design.
Yeah. And what I love about this, it's so custom. So if you created this for wallpaper or a cushion or whatever it might be, no one on earth is going to have anything like that.
Right. And there are applications that will do some of this stuff for you, some kaleidoscope effects and whatnot, like Adobe Capture. And that's fun. But I find this to be so much more enjoyable because each step of the way you're controlling something and you're controlling the quality and you're controlling every little aspect of it. And I love seeing how it unfolds. It's just so much fun for me. Like here too, look, this is a seed stalk that I gathered on my walk. I took it into Topaz Labs Simplify and made it a little bit simpler. And I tried it both ways, both facing together and not facing together. And then I just started playing. And you get these incredible designs. I mean, look at that. That's just a
Wow.
seed stalk.
That looks like some gold Roman ornament or something.
Yeah, or like a basket weave, some kind of fancy basket weave. And I just totally geek out on this. And each time you duplicate your layers and rotate it, you get a more complex mandala.
I'm blown away, honestly.
Okay, so here's a fun thing too. I'll show you real quick. You can do this like here's a scanography as I scan these flowers with a black background. And then the way you would do this is you would still flip it, but if you're blend mode, you'd use lighter color. So you could scan it. If you were going to do a whole mandala, you just keep using lighter color, because you don't want the background to be interrupted.
That looks amazing too. That looks so high end. And again, my mind's going towards like branding. I could see this being used for some kind of experience night in London or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the Secret Garden or something.
And I took another rose of the same bush and did the same thing, did a 4-way out of it. And I put that in the center. So you can also build up, layers of these 4-ways. And by the way, the term 4-way it's kind of a general term for pattern motifs, and it doesn't specifically apply towards these mirrored things, but it just means a pattern that looks good in all directions.
I love like some of the branches are almost receding into shadow slightly.
Yeah, you get that with the scanning.
Yeah. And it's really cool because you feel like it's just coming out at you from the darkness, right? And then parts recede away and others come out in the foreground.
I love scanography for that. You get like these super, just amazingly sharp areas, and then it just kind of fades out into, obscurity in places. Now, this one I chose to show you because this one I did not cut it out. So I just used blend modes. But here's some peony blossoms. And here's my horizontal and vertical flip. There's my 90-degree. And then you just keep going, keep changing blend modes. Let me zoom in here. You keep changing blend modes. And pretty soon you almost can't even see that's a flower. You might change, see, this is a different blend mode, so you get a different effect. So just really explore and have fun. Okay, let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to show you? I'll just show you some of my, let's see, actually, I've already did that one. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a slideshow of some of the mandala things floral mandalas I've created. Those are poppies, dahlias. Some of these are more like wreaths because I stopped. This is a lilac. peony. And this, I kept going on that same peony and doing different blend modes until it just becomes more of a design. Peonies. That same peony again, when I kept going.
Love the green of that leaf. It's amazing.
Wisteria. Lily of the Valley, a little bunch of Lily of the Valley.
Do you like go and pick these? Where do you find all these flowers?
Don't tell anyone, but I did pick these. You're not supposed to. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to. I don't pick them anymore, but I picked these in the forest near here. But every May 1st, I think it is, they sell them all over the street corners in France. I don't know if they do in England, but in France they do. And this I took kind of a Christmas wreath. It's like I took some evergreen, cyclamen, and some red leaves. And that's the same motif when I went further with the rotations and blend modes. Can you guys see these okay? The people, audience watching, can you see these? Am I just okay?
No, they're showing up perfectly.
Roses. This is a dahlia bud and stalk. Poppies. Tulips. Tulips with a different tulip with the snap art filter. And this was just a seed pod from a tree, Judas tree. Morning Glory.
The color is just amazing.
That's the 4-way of the Morning Glory. And I think that's it for that slideshow. Do we have time? Is everyone okay? Do we have time to show you how you could also, I'm not going to go into it very much, but I just wanted to show you. Oh, I do want to show you something here. Just for a kind of a challenge, I took this snapshot with my iPhone, and it's a pretty crap photo. But sorry for my language there. I cut it out, which was kind of hard to do, but I just for a challenge. And I used the Topaz Lab Simplify filter, so it became more like a graphic. And then I made my flip, my rotation, and that becomes a pattern. So this is an iPhone snapshot.
Incredible.
And there's the mandala. Now, like I said, you can't, I'm going to do this really fast. I'm not going to get into it, but you could take the same technique and do like, take this French script and let's see, I don't remember which one it was, but you can create a mandala. Like, would you ever guess?
It's so creative, yeah.
Would you ever guess that that's, at first glance, that's just script made into a mandala? You can take, let's see. Where did that go? I thought I had one saved. Like you could take a textured photograph and get this, or get this. There are some techniques that are a little bit different on this one that I don't think I have time to get into, but just so you know, it is possible, and maybe we can do that another time. But
that's like full on kaleidoscope, isn't it?
Yeah, and we went further that. But you can take a photograph, and it also works great to put a filter on it or something. Like this is a Lens Baby photograph that was then taken into Topaz Labs impression to give a painterly effect, and then made a kaleidoscope. So you can really have fun.
So stunning. Leslie, I'm personally blown away. I had seen some sneak peeks from this session, but I didn't fully expect the level to which you'd explored this technique, and it's just stunning. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, great. Thanks. I hope you guys have as much fun as I do with this, because like I said, I totally geek out on this. I have so much fun with it.
Well, consider me a fellow geek. Definitely. Leslie is one of the most amazing and generous characters we know in this space. So, Leslie, that's awesome. My mind is already racing. I'm sure the team are going to reach out about some really fun upcoming lives and other collaborative opportunities. But yeah, we love working with you. So, appreciate you jumping on today.
Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.